Welcome back to another episode of Guided Primal Sutra Podcast, GPS Podcast. Today we're talking about a really, really important topic, uh, the ultimate shadow. The ultimate shadow. This is something that I had discovered specifically from Wilhelm Reich, who
Yeah.
came up with the concept of bioenergetics, and Alexander Lowen. And they have certain character structures that basically all people go through this specific core wound from 0 to 7 years old, some into teenage years. And when I had asked ChatGPT to sum it up for me, it basically told me that the greatest and most ultimate shadow for all of us is the fear of living fully, the
Interesting.
fear of being alive fully, the terror of aliveness. So we
Okay.
we think that we want freedom, we want energy, we want flow, but we just want to be fully alive.
Okay.
And when it
Uh,
stares you in the face, when life stares you in the face and it's unfiltered, man, like you will feel the tremor of infinite power within you, man. Like I know I've felt it in random moments. You know how every time that we go to an event, Ryan G,
yep.
and go to one of our student immersions, we
Yep.
fully allow ourselves to completely embrace it. We just go with it and we feel fully alive.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that?
Well, not like we had a choice.
Right.
Organizing these things
I think being fully
is
alive also means no more excuses, right? It's like no more hiding behind fatigue, trauma, or some past life
true.
karmic sob story.
True.
It's
So
yeah, go
before
ahead.
I give you my answer, what is then your definition of living fully alive? Or living without fear of living?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's really letting yourself feel life and have it change you, right? Dismantling your false self that you've carefully built over so many years and like stripping away the uncomfortable neuroses of what you wear in your armor and actually feeling the pleasures, the rage, the grief, the ecstasy, all of it. But most people can't handle all of that. And so they say they want aliveness, but they're repressing their aliveness. They're stifling their sense of freedom and their own flow state. So then people numb themselves, you
Right.
know? So being fully alive, I think, means losing control, which is really scary because it's not knowing who
Uh,
you are for a moment. It means stepping into the unknown.
did you
That's
mean
where your
lose
nervous
control
system.
or surrendering control?
Well, yeah, in a sense, I think the deepest resistance lives in our nervous system,
Right.
so we have to like find a way to speak to our brains in a way that we can actually feel free and not cling to this like cage that we've built over so many years. So that's my definition, at least, of being fully alive, is not living
Huh.
confined,
To be fully
reclaiming a
alive.
forbidden energy within you, like the ecstasy that scares you, the wildness that you repress.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
It's when the mask falls. It's when you're in the flow
yeah.
state. And it's me giving a comment to search someone. Yes, is to be yourself, but how much do you really know yourself? And that's kind of what
Mm,
this podcast is about. It's
mm,
that one, albeit a topic that's becoming more prevalent in our studies and the students that we've coached, shadow
yeah.
work, whether that is shadow aspects of the individual. Per my studies and based on the results that I've gotten, if you are willing to go through whatever hellfire the shadow work entails for you and how uncomfortable it could be, etc. On the opposite side of it, once you've gone through it, you might finally start living.
Mm.
It's like having a very painful massage only to walk back home light.
I'm just reading some of the comments. I experienced
Yeah,
that when performing live. Totally,
shout out to
Farah. Like,
Faraz.
I think that performing live definitely puts you on the spot because you can't hide. When you're on stage, you can't hide. Like you are the center of attention. So yeah, that makes
Yeah,
complete sense. That's not much to learn from a terrible world like this, anyways. That's not a very nice mindset, someone. What do you mean? You're
well, there's
controlling
a
your
lot
own
of
simulation.
right. So here's where and here's something I learned from TXL. Narrative dictates a lot. If
Mm,
you in your mind have a certain narrative like "Oh, woe is me," then yes, "Oh, woe is you." But if you have the mindset or the narrative or the storyline, whatever, on somehow it's gonna work out, the I am procreating with the universe instead of the universe conspiring against me,
yeah.
right? Somehow things work out. And they have. I mean, look at my recent wins. Somehow shit just fucking works out. Like last minute buying a suit and finding it for a pretty good discount. Perfect.
Mm. This month, Ryan G, is all about the Asura Deva energies like coming together. So let's just say
Okay.
the God demon as one word. I mean, this is a very new concept or understanding of this, but within us, there is a good and a shadow.
Naturally.
And so, if our greatest shadow is the fear of being fully alive, what does that go to tell you? It goes to show you that many people are disconnected from the present moment. And this is why they need IMAX and psychedelics and all these other things to get them out of their head into the experience,
Yeah.
right? They're paying thousands and billions of dollars for
Yeah.
people to get out of their heads.
Or you could just pay for dance classes.
Well,
Just
yeah,
for
that's still
Afrofusion,
it, right. It goes through many streams, so it could be dance
Yeah.
classes, it could be anything.
Because you need to be present when you learn the choreography. You need to
Right.
be. You need
It's
to
I
be,
think it's
yeah,
more about like holding the voltage of existence itself, like feeling the vajra instead of, this isn't about self-improvement or like, I mean, it is to some extent, but it's like this is about whether you can hold that frequency of life. Most people can't. That's why they collapse. I mean, I've seen it time and time again with people that you can either contract back
uh-huh,
into comfort and illusion, or you can stand a little bit on the edge, like staring into the abyss of your own aliveness and
yeah,
taking that first scary little leap, like just the few moments before it's terrifying, and then you feel fully alive. There's like a pocket of where it's scary, 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 and then it's like,
yeah.
oof, it's
Well, it's like
uplifted
jumping
scariness,
off
Yeah,
into a
exactly.
cold
Jumping off of,
plunge.
yeah, something. Yeah,
It's like taking a cold shower. Especially during winter time, ugh,
cold plunge. Yeah,
horrible. But once you're
right.
in it, you're in it. Let's
Yeah.
read a comment from Matis on Zoom. Feel strong, connected to abundance of sexual energy and how the book I read describes how systematic sexual programming leads to the shadow. This shadow asks
Mm.
what is afraid of the primal urges, sure, that have never been expressed fully. I can see that. Like how Chich did saying sex, sin, and stuff, okay? So, as W. Reich with Bioenergetic was a very sexual guy, he was ostracized by the government and his teachings were forbidden. I'm remembering something about that.
Totally. Yeah, the FDA
Purifying,
like banned his orgone generator or whatever. Yeah. I mean, I remember that. That's a big part of his narrative, I think, that he was this crazy guy, but he had these great concepts that I think were lost in time and lost a lot of credibility. But I still love his technology. And I think we all do because it gets right to the point, the basis of the mind, body, spirit altogether. And I think a lot of people have been just focusing on mind, just focusing on body, or just
Yeah.
focusing on spirit, not
Yeah.
this
It's
holistic
a
all
it's one
three.
whole
Yeah,
thing. Yeah.
right. That's a good point, Matheson. True, he said you'll find your fallouts not drifting into lower frequency. Yes, self-talk.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
100% self-talk and frame maintenance. That's kind of how your character evolves over time, is how you think about yourself and the world and the events that you're going through.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Character first.
character first for sure.
Right, let's read the comments from YouTube for a quick second. Sir Summit, is everything all right? You seem a little, your comments are a little bit on the sad side. So there's not so much from a terrible world. There's nowhere else to align about yourself.
Oh, okay. So
Okay.
that's what he meant, is there's not much to learn in a world like this, but yourself is what he meant.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, but ultimately
right,
everything is a reflection of you.
right.
The universe turns the mirror towards you, so everything gets reflected back. And I believe before the podcast you said something around um women are a testament to yours, Shiva stillness, correct?
Yeah, I was saying something about like she is the universe checking in on your detached embodiment. So she's always checking your Shiva essence every
Could you
moment.
could you explain that for a second? Because it feels
Yeah,
relevant
so she
to
wants
this
to
topic.
know, is this guy an illusion or is he real? Like, is he a real,
Right,
authentic human being that's having a conversation with me, or is he just making stuff up and trying to impress me and like going on this entire, um, roller coaster in order to, pull me into his reality rather than just
right,
being the storm and I can trust him just dancing in his reign. Like, that's a
right,
completely different, two energies. So
right. So how does that relate back to shadow work? And the how did you say it? Phrase it again? Living fully?
yeah, the fear of living
Yeah,
fully.
the fear of living fully.
Right. Yeah, man. So I think it relates back because, again, like it's as you wise and mature over the years that you start finding your power as a character on planet Earth, right?
Okay.
Um, and as you grow with the experience and know that you're experiencing this experience, you will come through this understanding that there is my ego and there is
Yeah,
some other higher intelligence running me, like at the same time. And
right.
I've got to understand how to differentiate the two and have them become best friends and merge with each other in tantric union so that they can actually move my life towards where I want it to go.
I understand. But did this higher intelligence or being, do you mean the human hive mind or the higher self?
Yeah, quite possibly. Like in the movie Dune, we have the Fremen that's like the natural Earth-based like flow state, and then you have the Harkonnen that's like using AI and flotation, anti-gravity tech, right? It's so interesting how um the differences, right? One is so, and even in the movie Avatar, like one is so just merging with the land, like
Yeah.
literally putting their hair into the plants, or whatever.
Oh, okay.
So that investment of self and environment, that merging of subject object, there's no paradigm split of like, I am a person doing this thing. It's like, I am the actor who is the act,
Right.
you know?
Right.
Yeah. This is a
Right.
complex, very philosophical topic. So if you're here already and you're a mystic in training and you want like the blueprint, the mechanisms, what is going on behind the scenes? Who are these guys? Why are there sigils behind this weird, what is this podcast? What am I listening to? Okay. Tune into primalsutramysteryschool.com, man. Avatar depression was a global phenomenon of people who wanted to live in the Avatar blue people world. Wow.
Well,
Wow. Avatar
okay.
depression. I haven't heard about that. Wow, so they had like a collective consciousness memory of like being these blue people all of a sudden, like this nostalgia. Maybe they were tapping into like their Syrian essence, Ryan, like their Sirius B. What do you think?
Could I could see what you mean, especially with the water team. But I'm liking
Right.
what
Right.
Jigsaw's saying more. What the humans miss is that
Mm,
connection back to nature,
yes,
right?
totally.
It's in the confronting of our bestial side and making harmony with it is
The
where truly
holy
you can find
animal.
peace.
That's right. You have a human body, it's an animal. It's a
Right.
suit. It's an animal suit. But you have to also recognize the quality of the divine within you. There's both within
Yes.
you. You got to find the perfect culinary blend for you.
Correct. Correct.
Hey, Big White is here. Much love.
Good to see you, Big White. Uh,
I'd say we
I'll
feel
just
more
attend
like
one.
Patrick Bateman. I'm not too sure about that, bro. I love this concept. Dope. The thing is, some of us are more disconnected from reality than others. And that's not a bad thing until you go and commit terrible, violent acts. Yeah. A lot
I
of
see.
problems come down to repression, disconnection, the
Yeah.
opposite of feeling fully alive. And
Yeah.
here is my affirmation: I am flow state embodied. There you go. It's 11:11. All right. So just going to show that, like, you know, we have these rules, these laws, right? So why not fine tune it towards your excellence?
I can see
Mathis
that.
says, divine machinery, how I learn from my guides, instrument, learn to play it. If the strings are loose, hold on. If the strings are loose or hardened, you know what tones are created, right?
I see.
Mm. It
Oh,
again goes back
interesting.
to Dune, bro. That thing is being reminded of like the voice that they used to like control others. Like they needed to tap into a certain
Well,
frequency. If it wasn't right, then they would be out of
well,
the zone.
well, that same
Yeah.
voice or frequency has a lot of similarities to the Force of Star Wars. Now it's just a question of whether Star Wars or Dune is the
Use the
original,
voice. Yeah.
right?
Luke. Yeah.
Right?
Totally. Totally.
And it's definitely a must watch occult movie. There's a lot of hidden symbolism in it if you know what you're looking for.
Totally.
Um, and fuck the Harkonnen is what I mostly have to say on that.
Mm.
Disgusting. Tixel's comment to the Patrick Bateman line to someone. Tixel says Patrick Bateman didn't kill anyone. He was imagining it. That's why he. That's why the man he confessed to said it was impossible. Yeah, I can see that.
Mm.
I can see that.
That's deep. That's also part of another topic, which is the fact that we're not even supposed to be in this world according to the Bible. Hmm. Interesting.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah, I would like to know further explanation, please.
Could you please type it out, search someone?
Where ramble formats.
Right, it's so funny having two different chats and then
Mm,
communicating from one chat to the other friend.
right,
Hey, he said this. What's your
right.
reply? Uh, anyway, let's continue. So the reason why I like the Avatar comparison is nature walks, etc. is a good way to create stillness in the mind. A lot of senior developers that I work with like to spend time in
Mm,
forest or go camping with their kids or something. And
mm.
as I have grown in my data career especially, I started to notice the same. We're too much in our heads. We are being paid to be that way, but nah, man, I want to be out in nature,
Wow,
basking in
that broke my
sunlight.
reality, bro. You said we're paid to be that way? Yeah,
Yeah,
totally. That's
yeah,
what work is, right? You get paid to
we're
be in
paid
your
to be
head.
that way.
Fuck.
Fuck, yeah, you're right.
Fuck.
I don't know where the
Mm.
fuck did that come from? We're paid to be that way.
Dang.
Yeah,
That's deep,
but,
bro. You're getting channel downloads, Ryan G. Nice.
fucking hell. Getting paid to be that way.
Oh man. I just had to point it out. It's brilliant. Um,
Yeah, because if you're gonna go solicit to a company, you're gonna hold an interview and they will be interviewing you, as I saw something disappear from my screen. Oh, I'm back. They will interview for a certain role. A role
hmm,
could be equal to a frequency or state of mind. Is he the right kind of guy for us? And they will be looking for more people like that. So what if the company is only interested in people that are out of body but are of sound mind?
hmm,
Because your body is just a vehicle for the company. They don't really care. As long as it's reasonably
hmm,
healthy, be my guest. Knock yourself out. But you are being paid with your
right.
skills, and usually tends to be mental. Unless you're an
Hmm.
entrepreneur, and that's a different category entirely, etc., etc., etc.
Yeah, being an
But
entrepreneur is kind of like being a glitch though, because it's not like anything else. I think
yeah,
it's just thing by itself. And it always evolves. It's a weird
yeah,
thing. It's like it's a dynamic process that keeps changing. And
yeah,
yeah, man. So back to the topic, I think that it's really interesting to understand. I was
yeah.
listening to the Trump Zelensky Trump Modi talk, and I was
Hmm.
noticing like the body language. Um, and it was just really interesting to see that this like alpha male like kind of behavior with each other, that this they're kind of dogging each other in a very, very subtle way. And I started to notice that like I started to see that conversation as almost like their solar plexus chakras colliding or clashing with each other. It's like two egos trying to get on the throne. You know what I mean? That kind of energy.
Okay. Is this in context of projecting? Why are you using this as an example?
So I'm using it because usually we project onto figures of authority as a
Yeah,
culture. So we will look at politics as almost like that's our father figure, is the president or whatever, right? Is like our consciousness of like a leader manifested in the form of whatever community, society you're a part of,
right,
right? So when I started to observe this, I started to notice that these little patterns of behavior that will may lead to an outcome, like he's trying to prevent a world war from happening, right?
right,
And if it doesn't go right, it could, completely go off the walls. But the fact that they were maneuvering it, so like interrupting over each other, it's like just like it seemed like reality television at a certain point. Maybe it's just all
Well,
pretend. This
is
use
it old
childish baby
television?
language, yeah, with his
Yeah,
arms crossed. Right, exactly. He was like this, closed body language, exactly. Um, Really interesting. But yeah, enough about politics.
right.
Back to the topic. I honestly think I know it's cliche to say this, the youth are our future or whatever, but it's really true, man. Like we got to change the communities because really that's how India is changing. Bro, it's the
Yeah,
youth-driven innovation, the digital revolution, you know, not the outdated systems, corruption, social division. We get all that. It's the newness, the novelty, and that comes from being fully alive. Bring it back to topic, right? It
right.
comes from being fully alive. And if you are kind of half-assing your journey, like kind of not giving it your all, and you're kind of second guessing yourself, maybe it's time that you start to double down on your strengths and really just feel into it,
Well, how would
process
someone
it.
even start with this? And could you also give some examples of such communities where these positive ripples are being created?
Right. Of course, we have our Primal Sutra Telegram group. You can always
Naturally.
join our Sangha. Um, but yes, community. So what was your question, Ryan?
Uh, how should one start with this process even?
Right.
Would it be merely shadow work starting with oneself? Would it
Yeah.
be applying oneself and creating hopefully positive ripples to whatever movement that they're part of?
Mm.
etc. I'm just trying to look for the angle that relates back to the title of this episode.
So this kind of shadow work, I think it's really different, man. Like, it's not about thinking differently. That's a flaw. I think it's about retraining your entire system to
Okay.
handle the full charge of life force energy. So if you breathe into your fear, like your breath tells the truth before your mind does, right? So
Yeah.
when life comes at you really fast, do you breathe deeply into it, or do you tense up and like kind of hold your breath? Right?
But
That's one
most
way to
people will
practice it.
hyperventilate
Right.
because they will be in a panic mode. I
Right.
mean, fuck, look at New Zealand. There was like, yeesh,
So yeah,
with the
number one is
cops.
breathe to stay alive, right? Which is
Yeah,
pretty obvious, but
yeah,
I don't think many people will actually breathe deep. Secondly, get comfortable with too much. Get comfortable with extremes. Um, this is why people suddenly feel unworthy when good things happen, because they numb themselves when emotions get too intense. They can't handle the heat. Then stay out of the
right,
kitchen. We were born in the heat, right? Shout out
right.
to the Atlas.
Teddy Atlas, yeah.
If you speak timidly, get loud. If you avoid attention, command presence. If you
Right.
hold back desire, express your desire fully. You will know based on your edge. That's your edge. So intentionally push into your edge. That's how you break this curse.
I can see that.
You have to do the thing you fear the most. And your mind will say a bunch of things, not now, I'm not ready, maybe later, I'll do it when I feel safer. Just call it out for the lies, man. Because speaking your truth is, and expressing your raw desires, Ryan G, I'm sure knows, is definitely one of the ways to heal.
So in that way, what I would like to add, if you're still doubting, just ask yourself, am I getting in my own way
Mm.
by doubting myself? And or is this doubt going to help me in the future? If the answer is no, take action and stop thinking so much. Just take
Also, get
action,
into
get
your body and start
results.
shaking. This is why all the bioenergetic practices, I mean, a lot of it is just going, like expressing yourself like a maniac, right? Ah, yelling and
Yeah,
stomping and kicking. And well, we don't allow ourselves to do that. People will
right.
call us crazy. That's animalistic. That's gross. That's too aggressive. So,
Why were we taught to be that like that?
well, societal repression, afraid of sexual energy, afraid of our own life force,
Why were we made afraid of our own life force?
trauma.
And was this trauma caused by mainly our parents or something else? What I'm asking is this by design?
Hmm.
Is where the
I
conspiracy
don't
nuts
know.
come in.
I don't know the answer to this, Ryan G. I'm at where you're at. I'm guessing, and I think this is the initiation, really, is to feel the rush, feel the intensity of it, and
Okay,
instead of running from it, let's just dive deeper into this. So,
okay.
what made you bring up this question? Let's dive deeper into it.
Well, what brought it up is the whole Dune thing and the patterns I'm hearing of Dune, society, life force. Because
Yeah.
one who has a lot of life force tends to do a lot with it. Tends.
Hmm. Right.
And I'm relating everything, of course, back to me trying to find the right questions to ask so that we can make this an entertaining episode while also
Right.
making this educational. And immediately I came up with, wait a minute, wouldn't it be that far-fetched to say, like very Matrix style, that we're being harvested for a life force?
Mm.
Because you have
Yeah.
parasites on so many different levels, on your aura, mentally, etc.
Mm.
Shout out to Farah's detox journey. Good luck. Was say for my thing, but good luck. I love eating. Uh, anyway, uh, but it wouldn't be that far-fetched to say that parasitic behavior is on multiple levels. And
Mm.
if not parasitical, we might also be farmed for life force. looking back, especially when that parasite was removed from my organs. I think it's in the large intestines, like two different healers said the same thing, and then one
Mm,
removed it. And that was a shout out to Brad, a shout out to Madame Mowry from Maintenance Healers at I forgot the specific location, but she pointed it out, and I had it removed at some point. And I believe it was with the second LSD session with Brad. And of course, shout out to Pete Kirkwood for connecting us. And I remember it being pulled out, and it was like I could connect to with my body better.
yeah.
And I also remember when he
But it's
removed
almost like losing a certain part of you too, right?
it was I felt empty.
Mm.
I felt empty, like a conjoined twin was missing. And it was
Mm,
that typical, how would you say this? When the abuse gets removed from their abuser, they tend to miss that familiar pain, right?
mm,
It's only
mm.
after a while that you realize, man, fuck that. You know what I'm saying? Oh, that's my first swear word this podcast. Okay, we gotta
Yeah,
keep
let's
this
go.
tracked. Uh, and I remember afterwards was also when he removed either A or specific contracts from my DNA because I was ready for it. And I remember in the back of my mind, while seeing the vision of two silver-plated pyramids and then the DNA strand, and then the Punjabi guys dancing. And I was trying to understand why the fuck I'm seeing this at random. And then fluid dripping from the back of my atlas all the way to my tailbone and slowly
Mm.
gaining this level of flexibility I haven't
Sounds like plasma almost in
experienced.
a sense, like the yeah. It's really interesting, man. Like, because as you're describing it, it seems to me like there is, of course, like a real world, like energetic thing going on, but then there's something going on behind the scenes, clearly. Because why
Clearly.
else are you seeing like higher self, Egyptian visions and
Oh, that's for
stuff like
sure.
this, So
The reason why I'm bringing this up is twofold. One, you must find the people that are able to remove these contracts. There's a very big con to this. You will have a target on your back for life. So this target will probably be inherited by your children as well and for the next lifetime. So, but that's that. So you must constantly demonstrate correct character and be spiritually hygienic. Don't date weirdos, etc. If they're like
or
ancient
date the right
Smiths,
kind of weirdos, you know what I
be the
mean?
right kind of
Like,
weirdos. Hey, shit.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Those fun freaks. Anyway, I'm getting distracted. Uh focus right. Right. What was I talking about? Right. The point I was trying to make is
Get with the right people, like
get with the right people,
who can
right?
remove these
How
contracts.
does
Yeah,
it relate
definitely.
back to shadow work? Oh, right. I have the deep suspicion that people are born with their shadows.
Okay.
There might be some truth to this. I'm doing my own research trying to figure this out. And
In
in this case, true.
astrological shadows, like Lilith or North
Yes.
Node, South Node.
So I kind of posted it in the chat here, and it's not complete for sure. We are missing the seventh house. So based on a post, I decided to do my own research. I felt inspired. Like, why not? There might be something to this.
Yeah.
And the way I tend to learn is, let's say via ChatGPT, I make an analysis, and that same analysis, I make it compact, and I build a character in ChatGPT, and I like to put it in a story.
Mm.
and there will be an A plot and a B
Basically,
plot. The
that's a
A,
way of hyper sigilling as well if you put it into a story. Yeah. So
right?
yeah, great.
Also, the chat kind of broke at some point, which is kind of funny to me. Uh, anyway,
Let me
the
check. Yeah.
what I is in essence is what I put the shadow aspect with based on my natal chart in the fantasy universe of The Witcher, and in
Mm,
this case, I came as a merchant's son that
mm,
happened to have mystical powers, and it would go to basically the mix of Hogwarts and The Witcher,
Damn,
right?
that's
It
cool.
like
That's a cool
right,
combo.
right.
Yeah.
This, and I had to learn of both aspects. However,
Mm,
the B plot started to become more the A plot because at some point, the hero must face his shadow. How does he do that? And here's where things got weird, right? And I'm not
yeah.
sure I'm supposed to bring it up, so I won't bring up the name just for my own safety.
Yeah.
But I tend to get paranoid at times. At some point, the hero goes to a dungeon because he's going on an adventure. He's tired of school. He has seen the Witcher's ways, and he figures there's much more to do before I head back. So he's already 2 years away,
You're right.
right?
Let's explore the Chamber of Secrets, right?
And
Yeah.
well, something like that. But
Yeah,
instead of
right.
going to the Chamber of Secrets, he goes to a more desert jungle area, very Indiana Jones.
Mm.
And he's expecting treasure or a grimoire or something, but instead
I
there's a
look like
big
I'm hunting
mirror
for treasure, bro.
that you
Okay.
do, or you're on a plantation. Anyway, uh, because white reflects, whereas the black absorbs. Anyway, instead
Mm,
of treasure or grimoires, etc., he finds a mirror.
mm.
And while he walks
Isn't
to the
this a
mirror,
lot? Yeah.
right,
Light
he
reflects, yeah.
light reflects, right? And he sees himself. Tixel. So what happened is Tixel has changed his the profile Zoom profile picture to Django from Django Unchained. I appreciate that. Anyway, so what happens is ChatGPT gives me a few options. I can surrender to the shadow. I
Mm,
can fight the shadow, and it's an immensely powerful being. He knows my every move. And
mm,
me being me, I say, how about the unexpected? Let's prevent the shadow. And then
mm.
ChatGPT decided, oh, a friend needs a name, and it came up with the name of a demon, like an actual demon. And we happened to
Damn.
have one encounter with said demon, like I believe, like beginning last year, roughly this time.
Mm.
And I did my own
Interesting.
research because I was spooked out. I was playing, sort of Saint Michael, and I then figured out, okay, this energy is trying to point out the connections between the birth chart or natal chart and the shadow, and that there's a lot of fertile ground in the shadow because once you have mastered the shadow, you have no need of society's mask because you're no longer living in fear or lack, etc. Is it going to take a while? Absolutely. But it's kind of funny because according to my
The
chart,
Hall of
I've
Infinite Doors, yeah.
right? I both have Pluto and Scorpio in seventh house, which means it's like a whole
Dang.
trifecta of
Wow.
in this lifetime, I'm going extremely deep into shadow work.
Intense, yeah.
Like I don't know what
Very
I did in the
intense.
past to deserve this.
Well, you
I'm
are the
just
Shadow
sick.
Shaman, bro, so
Yeah,
that is
this is not
the role.
necessarily a calling. It's a fucking job.
It's a
Oh
divine
Jesus,
occupation.
it
Yeah.
is a divine occupation.
Mm.
Uh,
Kiss your
so
shadow. Yep. Weird ass dreams. Good.
well, you will
Yeah.
have weird essays for sure. So the point I'm
Mm,
trying to make with it was, yes, prevent your shadow, for it is trying to tell you where you can still grow. Growth tends to not be easy. I mean, if I compare myself 10 years ago, especially around self-talk, taking up a completely new dance would have been rougher on the mental aspect. So every time any negativity came up, I realized, focus, Ryan. I realized I can observe the emotion, I can observe the thought or the self-talk, and decide to start from a neutral place while the emotion gets processed, while the thought gets processed, and then from there decide what my next move is.
Hmm.
I mean, realistically, I am dancing with dancers that have more experience in this form. And then I sometimes have to keep myself in check and still be able to flow in the highest possible frequency that I can, if not on an authentic improvisation, than merely the feeling of gratitude that I can experience dancing in harmony.
Mm.
Shout out to Take Self for trying to make me laugh. Fucking hell, this is tough.
Oh, now it's Cartman as Django. Okay, brilliant.
No, 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 no. It has to do with this is the episode. So, our peeps on YouTube can't see this, but Tixel has changed his Zoom pic into Cartman, where he's basically going around uh as a southern gentleman of sorts. And it's
Right.
that episodes where he's kind of accusing the sports association of having slave labor, and these people call them college athletes. So because they don't get paid, but they are earning a lot of money from these kids.
College athletes.
So you're cracking me up, man. Let's uh
Mm.
let's read the comments real quick. Wow, okay, that's a lot of comments. Can't put a skip.
That's Craig. You always tune in according to your consciousness
Yep,
evolution level. Yep.
yep,
If it
yep.
doesn't
You need people
resonate,
like the
stop matching
conscious.
your
Yep,
RAS and five senses filter it out. Yep.
yep. That's why we keep saying you have to try to, at least in the morning, it's like my morning routine, do whatever I can to handle my mind, my body, my soul, whatever.
Mm.
And the way I like to do this through frequencies, but anything that I can do to stay in the highest possible frequency, anything that I can do.
And it has to be maintained too. It can't just be a
That's
huge spike up.
that's
That's the problem.
well, that's where the sporty part comes in because it becomes a sport, else it becomes tedious because you will
Yeah.
be faced with assholes
Well,
or the train doesn't
spiritual
work.
athleticism, not college athleticism.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Not college athletes that don't get
Athletes.
paid. Athletes. Uh, because you will have to deal with people that do want to be productive but don't necessarily match your frequency, etc. And this is what it is. And you will, and this is something I'm dealing with here and there, where I might have coaches and we're completely opposite frequencies or energies, where we might be both high frequency, but we're each other's shadows. And it's wild to have a coach like
Someone
that.
is saying that. Have you ever seen that cartoon of like spy versus spy? Like one is black, one is white. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't remember. Which
Yeah, there's
cartoon is
like
that?
a. It's like the spies with these long noses, like this
Oh, yeah, yeah,
cartoon.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
I thought it were just memes. Is it an actual cartoon?
yeah, yeah. I think so.
Oh,
Spy versus spy.
I'm gonna have to look it out at some point.
It's interesting. There's
Okay,
always
what
exploring a
is
woman's chamber of secrets. That's true. Um, okay.
as an individual if I read one? Egyptian
Yep.
visions. Did you want to know more about that? I don't know why the Egyptian visions came out with just some random thing like floating. Oh, it's a joke. Oh, okay, good to know. Yeah, that was one of the more. It looked like a Michael Jackson video, very 90s, 80s, something constructed by an art director. Very, it's a black, it's a white kind of situation with the
Mm.
Tunuk vibes. I don't know why the Punjabis came out, but it was
Mm.
pretty clear that
Maybe it's the Uttar Pradesh side. Could it be that? Like your ancestry?
could be, could be, could be.
Yeah.
So how this relates back, and I haven't proven this, but I have a hunch that the shadow work I do is going to benefit my loved ones, my family, and the teams that I work with. Because when I handle my shadow and befriend it, I will no longer be projecting bullshit onto others. Thus, it's likely that they won't be projecting their bullshit back onto me.
So this is an interesting topic, Ryan G, because you're on like past 100 days of semen retention, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
that means
Let
that
me
you have
consider.
mastered this aspect of being able to hold life force energy and not release it. You have cultivated life force energy within you, in a sense. So you are facing this fear of feeling fully alive, right?
Yeah.
So what is it like for you now that you've gone through this journey and process?
So I've done this multiple times, and there are pros and cons to this. I believe, and this is purely my belief, brahmacharya, semen retention must be done with a specific intention. Um, and every time I relapsed in the past, it was either because I was tired, etc., and I was using this as a way to discipline myself in a sexual manner. Because I must be able to control my sexual desires. It's almost like saying, can I be horny and dignified at the same
Right,
time?
right,
That's
right,
what I'm
right,
going for.
right.
Now, obviously, well, the last one, and I had to do with how can I be doing brahmacharya while handling sexual numbness? Because at some point I just felt sexually numb, like I couldn't feel anything. And then I realized, oh, there's other things in the way that are preventing either semen reabsorption, zinc, whatever. And then I realized how to do with other aspects of self-care, right?
Right. I like Mathis's comment, man. It reminds me of the well, this podcast is called Guided Primal Sutra. Well, what if it was also God positioning system, or like what Mathis is saying, God, the acronym generate, operate, direct.
Yeah.
Instead, direct instead of destroy. I like that. And it sits, if it sits in your ball sack, it's not good. Absolutely. Like you gotta bring that energy up. It's like and
Well,
through your
that's
body,
my next
not be in your lower
challenge.
basal. Yeah. Yeah.
So my answer to that was in the physical world to be as productive as I can be. Use it. Do not let it remain stagnant.
Mola
Fight,
Bandha, man.
train, learn,
Root
dance.
lock and just pull it up. Yeah. I mean, that's what I
I
used
don't,
to do when I went
right, I
into
don't
the
know how to
role.
do that yet because I haven't studied that aspect, which is
Really. Yeah,
funny
you should.
because I have a tantric tattoos and I am
Yeah, bro.
looking for
You're gonna step
an
into it. If it's a part of your tattoo, then you're probably
technically I
gonna do
should
it
at
at
some
some
point.
point.
And
Yeah.
and it's the most tantric uh version, of course, of the five Jambalas, but I think he's either one or one of two
Mm,
Jambalas who actually has a woman sitting on his lap for obvious reasons. I
mm.
can't see it on YouTube for obvious reasons too, but you know what is happening. And he's like protecting her with like a van, etc. Anyway, I am looking for an appropriate tantric
Yeah. Also read
teacher.
this disclaimer, man. We're not like Tibetan scholars in this thing. Like we,
Absolutely not.
right?
Absolutely
Like
not.
we
At
we are
best, we're
learning as we
hobbyists.
go, and we are amplifying it as we go. Like we are
Yeah,
we're moving with the speed of the current of flow state. That's our path, you know?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Any
Flatline is
questions
normal,
from
yeah.
the Nexus on this SR thing that I'm doing?
Hmm. Yeah, what's a way that you can transmute urges? Like, let's say you're getting a lot of urges for something, like it could even be food. Like, what do you do um,
Well, that's my next
on the
challenge.
spot? Or
Sugar
emotional regulation, like in that moment.
or emotional regulation is easier than the sugar cravings.
I know.
The sugar van there, that kicks my ass at the moment.
Mm,
But when it comes to emotion is I have trained myself over time to learn to walk away from things. Because why would I get
mm.
so emotionally invested or attached to either a situation or someone that doesn't benefit me?
Yeah, that's why I was
That's the
saying the too much thing, right? Like, let's say you were given $1 million, lots of women, everything you wanted, whatever it was, like all in like you had everything you wanted. Let's just say that, right? Then you reach such a level of detachment because if I have everything, what's the point of like growing and living? You know what I mean? It's like that
yeah.
there's that paradox. So it's
So that's what
like,
that's what I'm feeling afraid of. Like, what if I suddenly
hmm,
have so much abundance that I become
right.
numb to it?
Yes.
But that was not the point of abundance.
Right. Exactly what we're talking about in this episode. Yeah.
Which might this might be
It
part of
fits
my
the
shadow
theme.
that I'm slowly becoming aware, like, oh, do I
Mm,
really just want money or is it something more? And of course it's something
right.
more. It's never just the money. It's never
Mm,
just the wealth. It's never just the health. It's health with purpose. It's money with
mm,
purpose. It is to be
right.
abundant with a specific purpose. And whether it's to help children, it's to create more clean water in this world, it's to, leave behind a functional legacy where multiple families, not just through my lineage, but multiple lineages can, set up businesses, go to college, universities, or have a pension, etc., and not have to worry about, where the next meal comes from. I mean,
Right.
the first 2 years in the Netherlands here, I didn't have a dime to my name. Dad
Right.
had to focus back home on selling the company, and he just couldn't send money, and we had to survive on a few euros in a month, like maybe 100 or something, and we somehow figured it out. And I was
Mm,
confronted with that fact, like I couldn't go cut my hair. And
mm,
when you look at it with the lens of the shadow to my natal chart, and there's a lot of fucking Capricorn and a lot of fucking Leo,
mm,
I'm not that surprised I felt a certain way back then, especially with the
right.
self-talk, etc. And I'm looking back at myself like, yeah, no wonder I
Mm,
associate myself with if I don't have that, what am I worth? If I don't have that level of, let me say clothes, but swagger,
mm,
etc. And
yeah.
that's why if I can't have that, I'll get something else. And I completely invested into martial arts.
Mm,
Like whatever it took, I'll figure out a way. Even if
right.
I'm a small, skinny Indian kid. So what? At some
Mm.
point, I didn't cut my hair for half a year. I had a curly afro.
I
Like
like
even
I
to the
like to
point
see
where
that.
there has to be some pictures
Yeah.
somewhere. I
Yeah.
remember my hair just growing up and curling.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's fucking
remember.
hilarious.
Yeah. The fro, the Indian
The
fro.
fro, the Indian fro, yeah. The honey fro,
Yeah.
yeah.
Honey fro.
The honey fro, right? Because it kind of grows like a honey
Oh man,
comb.
give this video a like, man. Whoever's tapping into this, they're gonna enjoy this episode. I know it.
Well,
Uh,
possibly. I feel I'm
I'm just
trauma dumping
checking.
on you guys a little bit, but anyway.
Trauma dumping. Yeah, totally. That's what we
Because I'll
use this
never.
for, therapy. Yeah. Talk
I
about our bullshit.
remember I remember finally finishing my bachelor's and finally getting my
Mm,
first paycheck and the sense of relief that I don't have to live from the government anymore. It was such a relief, my first paycheck. I remember taking my parents out to eat and I could like, okay, cool, something fun is happening again. I can live again. And it took what, 5, maybe 6 years to get there? It was crazy.
mm.
And looking back, every time I ran away from my shadow, shit got worse.
Yes, it's
Which is
always the
funny.
case.
It's always the fucking case, right? So
Yep.
let me guess. This time the shadow is integration between feminine and masculine, which means for me, like really getting in touch with my feminine side. No, I will not be dancing ladies' confidence, Farah. I will not be doing that. Thank you for the invite, though. I appreciate that. Uh, but it's more so getting back in touch with how would you say this? I'm having a hard time formulating it.
Like your probably like your own sense of receptivity or like your sense of
Yes.
nurturing. Yeah. It's just your
Yeah.
yin qualities, right? Yeah, we get it.
The yin
The yoni,
qualities, which is
right?
nurturing, etc. Exactly. Exactly.
Mm,
Because how many men really know how to take care of themselves physically? It's not just
mm,
lotion. It's not a soft talk. It's more than that. It's are you receptive to your own needs? And sure, you could
mm.
just reference Maslow's hierarchy, I believe
Hierarchy,
it's
right?
called. Yeah, and just check boxes
Mm. But then there was self-transcendence that not many people know of, right? Maslow's hidden apex.
just to make this
Mm.
joke, because I have to get this out of the way at some point. Um, Farah, I have danced semi-Chippendale stuff in the past. I've lost a few bets and had to do it, so I'm not too unfamiliar with uh the confidence aspect.
Mm.
And there are multiple ways, of course, and I wouldn't mind simply for the challenge. I
Do it
wouldn't
for the
mind
shadow.
it. I'll do it for the shadow, yeah.
It's like do it for the vine, but do it for the shadow nowadays. Yeah, let's start that trend. Hashtag that shit. Someone make it viral. Do it for the shadow. Oh man. Great. Because I remember one time I was like, I need to embrace my inner asshole, right? I need to do something that makes me tap into this because I've always been resisting it. And
Yeah.
so I went ahead and I just started beating my chest in a nightclub, just like fucking just going for it, and I felt like a dick. Absolutely. I was annoying people, but I freed something within myself. And I think that's the male consciousness wants freedom, the female consciousness wants love. Of course, we both want freedom and love, but this is when we unite and come together, we create this pocket of freedom and love that expands. So Shiva Shakti, in a
Yeah.
sense, we could think of it like that. The shadow is your subconscious lunar mind, so it is the feminine part of you anyway. If you think of it like that, it's the depth. And
Huh. Hey, if well, if that's the case, and based on the analysis we have on me, is that the re and my desire for deep connection, then it's not that strange anymore that I'm so deeply interested in my own shadow.
right.
Right. And
Mm,
then I look at past relationships, and they all have this gothic style nature to them in some form. Like they went through some deeply emotional shit before they met me. It's always the same thing, huh? Because frequencies attract frequencies, vibe attracts tribe. Yeah. Yeah, okay, I'm starting to see the picture. Okay, interesting.
always
There's more,
revelations. Every podcast.
yeah. I
All right,
like,
guys. We're gonna wrap up shortly, but yeah, go ahead, Ryan.
uh, yeah, let's wrap up in 7 minutes. Let's read the chat real quick, blah, blah. So, Sadok, step aside, give it a try, the literal, Riddler, Batman Forever. There's so much more to life than anyone will ever understand.
Hmm.
Okay. Thing is, that is true. You are who you are, regardless of who you think you are. That's very true. Did you
I'm one
ever
with the
truly live by the
quotables
rules?
always. From random movies, books. He'll quote the Bible one day. He'll grow
Yeah, but then
the
I need to really study the
I
Bible,
said
you know?
he'll
It's like,
grow the
oh
Torah.
shit.
I said, what the hell's my mind saying? He'll grow it. He'll grow it in his backyard. But yeah, the type of women that know and test if you're in your mind are painful, but big growth helpers. Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean,
We need each other.
to an
We need each
extent,
other.
if you look at Tibetan Dakinis, they kind of fit in that category because you will be forced to evolve. Anyway, as far as we've understood it from the guides, the keys are put on your path. And the moment you've learned the lesson, the wound tends to disappear. And that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
And note to self, do
Either
not date
she
the keys.
disappears or that if you learn the lesson, you won't see her again. It's a weird thing. Like it's a very bizarre thing, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, we have
Mm,
6 minutes. I would
right.
say conclusion. Do your shadow work. But
Mm.
also, after shadow work, you must do mandatory self-care. Because if the shadow, especially of men, is feminine nature, you must give yourself a break, get a massage, whatever. Do what you need to do.
Yeah, take a
Two,
break from everything. Kind of like zoom out and let things fall into place. That's what I'm doing now is like everything is like aligning into place because I'm not constricting reality so much. I'm allowing it
yes.
to reach me where I'm at. Yeah.
Two, we have a free mystery school program. It's completely for free. You have the Vajrayana Dragon Yoga, etc. It's
Oh
in the
yeah.
description. Sign up
Spiritual Mastery Challenge
while.
doc. That's the first link, yo. Just click it. Yeah, just put in your email. Well, I'll email you over 5 days. The name is through one of our adepts, Anna Gibson. We trust her
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
process. So
Oh, we
go
trust
and
shorter
tune
lives.
in. And it's powerful, man. If you
Yeah,
can do that and actually follow through on that tech and do the Savage Shaman activation and all of that stuff, man, you're gonna change. You're gonna transform. You won't be
right.
the same guy or gal.
True. I think I ended on day three. I forget to do four and five. Anyway, the depth program is 99 a month. And please show up to the free channelings we do. Usually Wednesday, but we decided to move it to uh for this week to Monday because it was a dream. From next week we're back on the normal program. Mondays we do podcasting, Wednesdays we do channeling unless we have to change the planning for
Mm.
spirit guide reasons. And
Yeah.
finally, we're heading to Sedona, the seat of Shiva. I'm going there to get my Mars downloads. And road
Mm.
trip, have fun, and after that we'll see what happens. What will you be doing there, Sumit? What's the purpose of you there?
I'm going to be connecting to my higher self's energy there, Sanat Kumara, and that's going to be one of the main breakthroughs I think of this year because really it will clear up a lot of gunk and it will make me understand that I can finally clear my oversoul energy blockages and undersoul once I understand my connection with the higher self. So
Right.
Valwamu's his
It's
higher self is helping it, but it's still like going there, going to the portal is going to be like a cheat
right.
code, you know?
Right, I'm not gonna reveal it here, but I did figure out that's kind of the name of Sol Oman. It is the sun, Om,
Moon,
moon,
right,
and his characters in the middle. But I won't talk too much here about it because it's the free stuff.
right.
Anything else? That would be it. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been GPS Guided Primal Sutra. May that be the same again. Good morning, good evening, and good night, wherever you may be. And until we meet again,
Let's go.
goodbye.